Welcome into week 5 of the Silver and Black Show, presented by Cox. Today, Lincoln Kennedy and I will get you ready for an all-important AFC West matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Coach Gruden joins JT the Brick to break down the play of Derek Carr, and I sit down with the man in the middle himself, Nick Kwiatkowski, to find out just how he is adjusting to life as a Raider. All that and so much more on this week's Silver and Black Show. Let's get to it.
Just got to play better, period. We've got to stop the run. We've got to start faster. We've got to play better on third down. We've got to get off the field. We need more stops. And we got to stop the opponent quicker. We got to play better in all areas. And I don't think that's an understatement. We got to keep getting better. We're working hard, and I'm confident we can improve.
All right, what is up, Raider Nation? I'm Erin Coscarelli alongside my all-pro tackle, Lincoln Kennedy. Of course, before we break down this week's matchup against the Chiefs, let's get your quick takeaway against the Bills, Link.
You know, looking back on the game, as Coach Gruden assessed that, they've got to find a way to get stops and get off the field. This is a very cookie-cutter league, and what it means is that when one team sees what another team does against your defense, they're probably going to try to run the same thing, the jet sweep, the perimeter sweeps, as well as the overall passing. So defense has got to find a way to get off the field, stop the bleeding. Offense has got to be more efficient.
Right, because we all know it's not getting any easier.
Not getting
we keep
easier.
saying this week in and week out, but they have a really tough stretch of schedule this first quarter as they are entering the second quarter. But a cool record-breaking moment for Derek Carr, of course, becoming the all-time leader in passing touchdowns with 151, passing Kenny Stabler. But hard probably to celebrate coming off of a loss, right?
Yeah, when you look at the list of the quarterbacks that he passed up, all of them had some pretty good success as a Raider. And Derek said it himself, he's tired of losing. He wants to win, and he'll probably trade a number of those touchdowns if we can get a win behind him. So
I imagine that is a hard emotion to have to navigate, coming off a loss and then, of course, having this huge moment.
And then when you're looking forward to these guys, this is one of those moments when you're talking about Chiefs Week that I wish I could go back and put on the uniform again just to smash somebody in red. But I'm going to try to keep my cool around
How
here.
do you really feel about it,
I cannot stand this team. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad because we have a lot to get into. Of course, we'll talk about the Chiefs. But now we are entering week 5, which means we are entering into our second quarter of the season. First quarter assessment from you is?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. 2-2. You would like, obviously, to be better. You see where your mistakes went. But when you think about the offensive efficiency, what you saw potential for in the first 2 games, scoring 34 points, you know what you're capable of. And, of course, you want to try to get all the guys back on field. The most surprising thing from this first month of football is the number of injuries in the first month of football. How extensive the list is, injury list is. So.
Here are silver linings. Of course, the positives that we are taking away from the first 4 games. Derek Carr with a solid completion percentage, second best in the league. Now, we mentioned we're 2-2.
Right.
Are we the Raiders of the first 2 weeks, or are we the Raiders of the last 2 weeks?
Oh, I got to say the Raiders of the first 2 weeks. I got to be optimistic. I really do think the best is yet to come for this team.
Because the first 2 weeks we had 1 turnover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
5 turnovers in the last 2 games. So, which is what the coach was mentioning. We need to be turnover free. These are moments that the Raiders have opportunities to capitalize on, but then they kind of become snake bit.
Well, when you have such a young team, you have to play almost near perfect football. And the guys are capable of doing it. It's not like they're not capable, but miscommunications on defense, inefficiencies on offense, those are things that have plagued this team over the last 2 games. But we saw, just like you mentioned the first 2 games, what they're capable of against pretty good teams.
Well, what are they capable of against their upcoming opponents, Link? They do have a bye, but the combined record of the next 3 opponents, 10-2. I'm talking Chiefs, of course, that week 6 bye. Then they played Tom Brady and the Bucks, and then they played the Browns that just put a 50 burger on the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, every team has got their vulnerabilities, but again, you got to play your best football. So you got to show up on game day and have your best outing. That's easier said than done. We're dealing with a lot of young guys and a lot of new faces, and as I said earlier, we're dealing with injuries. So it's not easy, Erin, but it's the life of the NFL.
Well, we'll talk about the challenge ahead. And of course, I think a big focus will be on the defense, which is what we heard from John Gruden say in the beginning of the show. But more silver and black when we return. I get a one-on-one with the guy in the middle, linebacker Nick Kwiatkowski will join us next. Don't go anywhere.
Allegiant Air, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Cox Business, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors LIGHT, an official beer of Raider Nation, made to chill. San Manuel Casino, official Southern California casino of Allegiant Stadium.
All right, welcome back to the show. No coincidence that the two games in which the Raiders allowed the fewest yards and yards per play came when Nick Kwiatkowski was in the lineup. Nick, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So first game back after the injury, I need your self-assessment. How do you think you did, as well as the performance from the defense overall?
Personally, I definitely left some plays out there. Going back, watching film, some things I'd want back. But overall, defensively, I mean, there's things we need to get better at. We improved on some things, from previous weeks, but overall, I mean, there's still work to be had.
Okay, you were given the green dot at the beginning of the year. How tough do you believe it is for a defense to lose that player so early in the season?
I mean, it has its tough areas, but I mean, Nicholas Morrow, he's done a great job with it. Something he's practiced, he's had it in the past, so I think he did a great job in the time that I missed. So I really don't think there was much of a drop-off, or if any, while he was out there.
Not only was this your first time meeting a lot of these guys, but of course they were very limited with personal interactions with you. How challenging was it for you to execute being the quarterback of the defense, essentially, when you're still trying to get to know these guys and their tendencies? Yeah,
I mean, it was something we tried to work on during Zoom in the offseason. Very limited there. So, I mean, the first day of camp, it was something that, we made an emphasis on, just trying to work on communication, not only for me, but as an entire defense. Something that, I mean, it's going to take an entire season. I mean, it's going to build. I mean, longer we're together. So it's something we're still working on, and we're going to continue to work on.
Nick, I can't let you leave with, of course, asking you about the Chiefs matchup this week. You know Patrick Mahomes and his improvisation. How do you account for a guy who is solid in the pocket and also makes great plays on the run?
The biggest thing for us, start out, it's about us, communication, making sure we're in the right spot at the right time, getting lined up. I mean, a lot of focus on us, but as for him, I mean, keep him in the pocket, being able to adjust on the fly, being able to make checks, come to the sideline, make adjustments as the game goes on. I mean, that's something that we need, it's going to be important for us to do during this game.
All right, Nick, we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
A little rapid fire game, get to know your linebacker edition. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think you are. All right, you played in Chicago, so you know my first question out the gate. Deep dish or New York style?
I'm going to go New York style. I love deep dish, but it's an occasional thing for me.
Interesting. All right, if you weren't playing football, Nick, what would you be doing?
I have no idea. I'd say, something in business. That's what I went to school for, so something in business.
I like that. Okay. All right, be honest with this one. Who do you believe, Nick, is the best dressed teammate?
I can't answer yet. It's too early. Week 5? It's too early. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to circle around.
That's fine.
Week 10, week 15.
Perfect.
We'll see. We'll get your answer. Okay, fair enough. All right, Nick, an athlete for you that you looked up to when you were growing up that maybe you tried to model your game around?
I'd probably say Troy Polamalu. Grew up in Pittsburgh, grew up a Steelers fan, played safety back then, so it was that's who I watched when I was growing up. I mean, I wanted to be just like him.
Not a bad role model, indeed. Former Trojan as well. Something maybe you're not good at that you wish you were?
Probably something music, playing an instrument, something like that. I don't know about that one, but I would probably say.
What kind of instrument? Are we talking a guitar, maybe a harmonica?
I'd probably say guitar, piano. I like to play piano.
Piano? I played a little piano. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, I've tried twice. Can't do it.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, good luck this week against the Chiefs.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nick Kukowski, very cool to have him on the show. Coming up, guys, we've got a one-on-one with Coach Gruden. JT the Brick catches up with Coach. Stick around, that's coming up next.
Microsoft, an official cloud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome back to Silver and Black. Hey, 1983, the Raiders have a huge game against the Chiefs, a rivalry our quarterback knows all too well. Of course, let's welcome in our two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, Jim Plunkett, to the show. Jim, thank you for joining us. Nice to see some vintage footage of you there.
Yeah, vintage is right. It's been a while.
But we love having you on the show. And of course, Derek Carr entering this week, breaking a pretty cool record himself, all-time leader in passing touchdowns. Jim, how have you seen Carr grow from year 1 to now year 7?
I think he's made a lot of progress. A couple of years ago, he got hurt, didn't play quite as well, has bounced back very well. He's through 4 games, no interceptions, and I think that's quite a feat considering the teams he's been playing against. And he's doing a great job moving the ball around, throwing to various receivers out there, not picking any one guy. Waller's having a great year. Things are happening for the passing attack of the Raiders.
Yep, 151, you see it right there. 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, like you mentioned, but Carr has struggled at Arrowhead. As a quarterback, I want to ask you this, Jim. Do you feel a sense of pressure to keep up with an efficient offense like KC? Maybe is that somewhat weighing on the mind of Derek Carr entering this game?
Well, I think offensively, the offensive coaches, the coordinator, and Derek Carr, they know they probably have to put some points on the board, so they're going to have to take some chances somewhere down the line and put up some points. I don't think it's going to be a 10-7 ball game by any means, and they realize that. So it's number one, either control the football, keep it away from Kansas City, which is very difficult to do because they lead in time of possession. But you've got to take your chances down the field and come up with some big plays. You got to put points on the board against this very explosive football team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we kind of touched on this a little bit. You gave us the time of possession point, but what do you really believe is the key to winning in Arrowhead, a place that the Raiders haven't been able to win in since 2012?
Well, it's the old standard. Don't turn the ball over. Hopefully maintain possession of the ball longer than your opponent, and look for the big play down the field. I think that's going to be a big part of this football game. They're going to come up with big plays with Mahomes and their offense and Tyreek Hill. But you've got to find a way with Derek Carr and his offensive unit to move the ball in big stretches at a time. Not always, but time of possession is also going to be important, as I said. But look for the big play, and hopefully you can come up with it.
So basically, keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes and company. Jim, we are always so grateful for your time. We will see you next week.
You bet. Thank you very much.
From our Super Bowl winning quarterback to our head coach, JT the Brick, gets another one-on-one with Coach Gruden to discuss this week's tough matchup and more. Take a look.
Let's welcome in the head coach of the Silver and Black, John Gruden. And Coach, 2-2 in the first quarter of the season. Assess your team's play.
We've had some good things. We've got some things we got to clean up, JT. I think we're seeing the offense move the ball and possess the ball and convert on third down and score points, which is a positive without our right tackle and our left guard and without some receivers. I'm proud of that. Defensively, we've got to pick it up. We've made too many mistakes. We've been inconsistent. We've started slow. We're good enough to get better, and I think we will here in the second quarter.
I would assume you're excited about getting some players back from injury. Let's talk about that as your roster improves.
Well, we had Trent Brown practice yesterday, which is exciting. He is an all-pro right tackle. He's missed the last 7 or 8 games, JT, and it's been tough. But we have seen Denzel Good and Sam Young pick up the slack. We also got Henry Ruggs back on the practice field. There's a good chance he's going to play against the Chiefs. But we got to see today, you see. We got to see if they can do it back-to-back days. But we are seeing some progress with those 2 guys for sure.
I like the fact that you got some receivers stepping up. Let's take a look at some plays here. Let's begin with Zay Jones and what we're seeing from him.
I like this kid, JT. We traded for him last year against Buffalo. We lost Tyrell Williams. We lose Brian Edwards, so we move Zay Jones into the split end position, and he makes catches in traffic. He's good after the catch. He's got a lot of versatility, and he's really improving as a young wideout for the Raiders.
All right, you got a playmaker in Nelson Aguilar. I love what I'm seeing. Talk about bringing him into this team and what he's been showing you.
Yeah, I told Henry Ruggs, you better get back out here because this guy's no fluke. This guy won a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, caught 9 passes in the Super Bowl championship. He is a dynamic player. He can run. He was the 20th pick in the draft for a reason, and he's really fitting into our system. He's a guy that has great stamina, a lot of courage, and he can run a lot of different kinds of routes, and he's a guy that never gets tired. He's like you, JT. He just keeps coming. He just keeps coming.
Coach, everybody's talking about Kansas City Mahomes and the offense, but you're talking about the defense. You really expect what they do. They bring a lot of energy, especially their front. Let's talk about the Chiefs' defense a bit.
Well, they're a blitzing, attacking style. They've got a lot of veteran players and an excellent coach in Steve Spagnuolo with 3 world championships. So it's hard to see what they're doing, but they can pressure you and play man. They can pressure you and play zone, and they can show pressure and not play anything. They'd run all out of there. So they're very diverse. Honey Badger's still a great player. Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they're very formidable up front. And we got to have a great week of practice. We got to play better and protect the football in Arrowhead.
You and Andy Reid, these stories are becoming those of legend. Back in Green Bay with Coach Mariucci, take me back to those first years with Coach Reid and how you built this bond.
We used to have a contest every day to see who could get to work earlier. You know, I started getting there at 4 o'clock. Andy'd be there at 3:45. Then Andy started staying overnight in the office. But we would always try to get plays in a game plan, JT. And Andy always got plays in before I did because he played for Holmgren. So I thought he was always Holmgren's teacher's pet. But he's a great friend. He's a great coach. He's a great man. And if you met him, if you spent time with him, you'd agree with me.
Coach, when you were a broadcaster and you went into Kansas City's building, what'd you learn from them as you come back and now you're the coach of the Raiders?
Well, it's an organization similar to ours, and they got a storied history. They've been around a long time. Lamar Hunt, the Chiefs, Len Dawson, Hank Stram, they got a proud group of alumni, all over their stadium. You recognize the names. It's just a traditional NFL franchise that we got to do better against, and we can't wait for this challenge.
Coach, good luck in Kansas City. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, JT. You too.
Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Listen, we look forward to playing the Raiders. I mean, we know they're a good football team. They went in and got after New Orleans. They played the last 2 games right down to the end. So we know they're a good team, and they're very well coached, and they've got good players. So we've got to make sure we have a good week of preparation as we go forward.
All right, folks, welcome back. EC, Link with you. Let's talk Chiefs, okay? Because they are entering a really difficult stretch of games as well. How difficult is that for the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, just to look back, did Andy Reid seem a little out of breath?
Well, we didn't see him in the Raider shield.
Right.
I'm sorry, excuse me, the face shield.
Yeah, face shield,
Yeah.
but he seemed a little bit out of breath. So I wish we could have got that Monday night game on Tuesday. You know, the honest truth is that this team is right now, it's at its peak when you look at the Chiefs, Erin, because what's most difficult about them is that they've got so many weapons, so it's hard to isolate. And even when they have a bad game, like the report said that they had a bad game against the Patriots, which they beat them 26-10, it's one of those things where you still have to take them on. You have to find a way to slow them down. So the Raiders have got their hands full. They still got to play one of the best teams in the league.
Right, 26-10, you would have thought maybe it would have been a higher scoring game, but Brian Hoyer was the quarterback, and the Patriots defense is a tough defense.
Well, yeah, that's right. Belichick came to play, but they just got so many ways of attacking you.
Right.
So
True.
The last thing you do is let your guard down. You have to play near perfect football. And some might even argue with that Monday night game against the Patriots that minus the turnovers, maybe the score might have been a little different. Maybe, they might have been able to sneak up and get one from the Chiefs, but it is what it is. The Raiders got it.
Okay, well, look, speaking of defense, the best Raiders defense is keeping Mahomes off the field, Link. We all know that, controlling the clock. With what you've seen over the last 4 weeks, does it give you confidence that our defense has what it takes to put our offense in position to succeed?
As I said earlier in the show, you have to play near perfect football when you're taking on a team like this. They do have the potential. The Raiders have the potential of doing it on both sides of the ball. I know we haven't kind of seen it in the last couple of weeks, especially with the defense, but here's the thing. As we talked about, to me, the Raiders, the best defense for the Raiders is their offense. Time of possession. Win the time of possession, keep the ball, run the ball down. And, of course, as Jim mentioned earlier in the show, you want to take some strikes down the field, obviously, but you don't want to score too soon, in my opinion. I mean, 7s are good, no matter how you get them. Don't get me wrong. But you don't want to score too soon because the team on the other side of the ball is pretty efficient in the way they do things.
Right. It could just be a back and forth.
It could very well be that,
if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, but then how will the defense play on this matchup? Because is it schematically? Can you give us some insight? Would you say? Would you suggest zone?
More zone than man.
Sure.
Definitely more zone than man, and you will try to do what you've seen, sort of the recipe of what New England tried to do last week, where you rush less guys. 3 or 4, I think 4 can definitely get a rush on Mahomes, but then again, you also have to tackle him when you have him in, because he's very slippery. And he's a guy who knows how to maneuver not only in the pocket, but run outside the pocket. So if you assign a spy, like we say, a guy who's just focusing on him, got to make sure that you can catch him.
Yeah, he's good against the blitz.
Right.
So that is something that necessarily not the best option there for Paul Gunther and company. Right. Okay, well, I ask you this each and every week. The Raiders looking to snap a 5-game losing streak against the Chiefs. Key to victory will be what, Lincoln?
I think it's time of possession. I think it really is. The running game, Josh Jacobs and crew becomes invaluable, as well as the short passing game, which is notable for the West Coast offense. These are all things to run time off the clock. When you get it in the red zone, Erin, you've got to score touchdowns. There's no doubt about it.
Chiefs own the 5th worst run defense. That is good news for Josh Jacobs, who is hoping to have a better game this week against the Chiefs. Lincoln, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Ahead of this Week 5 matchup. For Lincoln Kennedy, Jim Plunkett, I'm Erin Coscarelli. Thank you for watching. The Silver and Black Show will be with you next week. Bye.
Allegiant Air, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Cox Business, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. By Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders. By Twitch, the official live streaming platform of the Las Vegas Raiders.